Well, good evening and welcome to this brand new week here on pjnet.TV. We're celebrating the day after resurrection. You know, Easter should be like something, the momentum should not just fade out. You know what I'm talking about? So we're not going to let that happen. And here to help us tonight, as always, on I think it's the second Monday of the month. It's Andy Clapp's turn. I don't know. Andy, gee whiz, I just saw you 3 weeks ago. I hadn't seen you.
Yeah.
What you been doing?
Oh, doing what we do, living the dream, sowing the seeds, and living for the glory of God. That's kind of like our mantra and our motto in life. So, uh, staying busy, that's for sure.
Well,
Uh,
Andy, I just, I'm still trying to get over, not, I don't want to get over it, but I'm still trying to process what happened. But before I get into that, Andy, I don't know what we'd have done if it wouldn't have been for you and your church. I really don't. Uh, we couldn't get a door to open, Andy. But since that time, doors are opening. We've already got our next event scheduled. We're planning an event for early in June. We're planning an
mhm.
event for early in July. We've got two events that we're kind of talking to some people. I mean, from it started in North Carolina, it went to South Carolina on May the 6th. It's going to Tennessee. It's going to Alabama, going to Texas. And Andy, I just want to say thank you. Your church is such a giving church, and you started something, and I believe the momentum has continued. I don't know. I don't know if you got to talk to some of the people there, but I mean, I couldn't get my gear packed up. You were waiting on us, you know. It's like I can't get my gear packed up because people are coming up to me, telling them.
Yeah.
And it was just a great experience, and I just appreciate you so much, Andy. You really, it started something new, but going back 3 or how many years it's been, it all started for me and PJ Net at your church. So you're just a real anchor, Andy. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you.
Well, it's all the Lord. He blessed us with what we've got, and we have a commitment to make. I had a lady. I don't know if I've shared this with you before. I think I may have, but never hurts to remember it. We had a lady tell us that missions work is the tithe of the church.
Hmm.
That we as Christians we tithe and we give to the Lord by giving to our local churches and giving to other ministries and stuff like that. But she kind of had this different this take on it. She said, missions work is really the tithe of the church, and I thought that's a unique way of looking at it. And the more that we are missional as churches, the more they see Christ in us because it's easy to become indwelling.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for a church to get an inward focus because, um, I mean, look. I mean, we just live in times of inward focus. I mean, our culture is completely saturated with inward focus. What do I get out of this? What do I gain? What's the benefit for me? That's where it's in culture we see that's really the mindset that's driving our culture now. All right, well, it's dangerous in the church because that is counterclockwise or counterculture to what Jesus taught us. Because Jesus said it wasn't to be about us. And so when we've got these opportunities to minister and we've got opportunity for mission, why not throw the doors open and go after it?
Well, I agree, Andy. I think the reason that we've seen a transition toward this inward focus is that it's so much safer.
It is. I mean, safety is part of it, Coach, but worldliness is another part of it. I
Mm-hmm.
was teaching last week, with it being Holy Week, and on Monday, Thursday, and then Good Friday. On Good Friday, I pointed out there was two different perspectives from the cross. You had two thieves on two crosses with two different perspectives. One said, "Give me more of the world." He said, "Come on, Jesus, if you can save yourself, why don't you pull us down from this?" He just wanted more time on this world. He wanted more of the world.
Mm-hmm.
The other one said, "Give me more Jesus."
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Whatever you do, remember me when you get to your kingdom." And
Mm-hmm.
so, for us, is it the inward focus of what benefits us, or what's most comfortable for us, or what's safest for us, or is it what glorifies God the most? And so that's kind of like our barometer is, if we can glorify God more and more and more, then why not? Like I had one of our folks today. I pulled up to the office and was coming in to do some work on something, and my assistant was here as well, and we had another person who came up and gave us just different ideas. What do you think about doing this kind of ministry? What do you think about doing this kind of ministry? What do you think about doing this kind of ministry? And volunteering to help, organize those things. And here's what I said: Yep, 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 yep. Because to me, I serve a limitless God,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to limit him in what he can do by what I think he can do. So throwing open the doors for an expo, and having events and things like that, to me, that's just saying, okay, God, I trust you to do something. And look, obviously he has. I mean, if he's opened the doors in South Carolina, and if he opens the door in Tennessee, and then if he opens the door in other places, then then I think we get the moral of the story. Everybody should move to North Carolina, because it all starts here.
Well, I enjoyed
Sorry,
the
Coach, I had to throw that
I
in
enjoyed the
there.
11-hour drive up there. You know, most of
Oh,
it,
I'm sure you did.
although most of it was not in North Carolina, but um,
No, no, don't take that long to get through here.
yeah, it is nice. But you know, I talked about safety, and you know, for years I have told the story of caged Christianity. You've probably heard it, but
Hmm.
I'll go through it real quick. I made a video with a roaring lion behind me, and I said, "Look at that fearsome thing! Look at its teeth! Listen to it roar! It's pawing the dirt up! What a fearsome animal!"
Hmm.
But I don't fear a roaring lion as long as it's in a cage.
Yeah.
And then I segue into the point, well, haven't we built all these cages across the land on Sunday morning? We open the door, let ourselves in, and close the door behind us. And and I say, but what happens in the cage is actually good, just like the lion gets water if it needs water, it gets food if it needs food. But the Satan, I don't think, Andy, trembles that we attend church. Now, this is the difference between the inward and the outward focus. It's the missions that are the outward focus. That's what makes Satan tremble. Just like we would tremble if the lion gets out of the cage. I've been telling this story for years, Andy. 1 week
But
ago, on Saturday, it dawned on me that I missed an important point. The reason we tremble the lion outside of the cage, Andy, is that we know that lion would act the same way outside of the cage as it does inside the cage.
yeah,
Not so much with Christianity. We're different when
yeah.
we go to church.
Oh yeah, and yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that, I think all of us here are working on is, I was telling our folks recently that the authenticity has to be there in all of us, whether it be Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, or Tuesday morning at the Biscuitville, or whether it's Monday night at the ball game. We have to be the authentic person. But I think one of the reasons that the lion has stayed in the cage so long is because we misunderstood the Great Commission,
Hmm.
and people have replaced one word of the Great Commission. And when you do that, then the lion stays in the cage. See, Jesus said, "Go ye therefore," but we changed that to "Go thee therefore."
Or send
Somebody else,
ye. I say send ye.
yeah, somebody else should go, because that's not it's not for us to do. And we got a young man here at church, and he has some mental and physical handicaps. Um, and he called me the other day and was talking and sharing with me how he has started a Bible study at his job.
Hmm.
And I was so proud of him. And we didn't push that. We didn't
Right.
even mention it. That was God moving in the life of this young man. And he's 27 years old, and here he is taking it upon himself to start this. And when you start seeing that, then you start saying, okay, the doors are starting to get open, the cage is starting to open up, and the lion's about to roar again, and we want to be part of that. I mean, ultimately, I want to be part of that. I don't want to say that we did the church game well.
Yeah.
What I want is I want the Lord to look at us and say, "Well done, you good and faithful servants." When this is all said and done, because one day it's going to be over. I mean,
I
one
was
day this is
having
all going to be over. And so, what's it going to be when it's over?
I was having quite a long conversation with our producer, Miss Barbara, and we were talking about the Great Commission because
Mm,
I use that, Andy, as the standard by which we measure our activities and our results.
yeah,
And so often we measure our activities and results on a worldly standard, offerings, attendance,
problematic.
yeah. But the Great Commission says to make what? It says make disciples.
Yeah,
Okay. Now, without treading on church, which I don't want to do because I revere the church, but it didn't. Discipleship implies evangelism. It implies building the church body and its attendance and its effectiveness and its resources. But I think we focus, it's like, we're looking through the binoculars through the wrong lens. We got them turned around. We're supposed to make disciples. It's not about building the church congregation or the church attendance or even the church offering, because all those are good things. But if we're not making disciples, we have misplaced our priorities. Is that how much do you disagree with that?
I actually don't. I don't disagree with it because I mean, my statement is that people believe the Great Commission is the Great Suggestion, um, and that's how it's been treated for 30 years or so. I think the offering and the membership and all that stuff can be um, a natural manifestation of us making disciples. And
Well,
so, where it starts, though, I mean, I'm going to put this on me. So let's go. Let's just go with that. I won't speak of anybody else anywhere else, but I'll go with me. Am I making disciples, or am I making really good moral people? Am I leading people to a good moral life? Now, understand something. It's got to be the power of the Holy Spirit. If I do this on my own, then it's nothing more than a ruse. But am I doing everything it takes? Because we live in a culture now, in a time now, where people are saying, "What do I have to do to get by?"
mm,
And I believe that's crept into ministry. I mean, if you want me to be honest with you, Coach, I believe it's crept into ministry that we're saying, okay, what do I have to do
yeah.
to keep it afloat, or to pull in more people, pull in more money, and all that? And I think that's the wrong mentality. I think that's the wrong operating system, if you will. It's not what do I have to do, it's what should I do for the glory of God. And it steps on my own toes because there's more that I could be doing. And I think that's the challenge every day is, am I truly living the the call of the cross for the cause of the cross? Or do I just wear a cross when it's convenient and go on about my life? And that's where I believe that dividing line is. And I believe as pastors, we need to step up. I mean, I do. And I'm saying that on my own end. I'm talking about me, that as a pastor, I need to step up. That there needs to be more for me because we are commissioned to make disciples, and not just pastors. I mean, every believer is commissioned to make disciples.
Mm-hmm.
But if we at the top are not doing it, how can we expect anybody else to do it?
I,
And what we always say is we don't have enough time. Well, I was telling somebody recently, I don't watch much TV. Do you know why? I got better things to do. I got better things to do
and
than
almost anything would be better.
yeah. I mean, but when you think about it, we always say we don't have time, but we're making time for all the stuff we want to do.
Yeah, of course, of course.
And so, like, I mean, I hadn't played golf in probably 2 years. I love
Mm-hmm.
playing golf. I ain't played golf in 2 years because there's other things that need to be done. There's other things that we need to be doing because I mean, yes, there's nothing wrong with relaxing. There's nothing wrong with getting away from it for a little bit. Because even Jesus,
Jesus did.
he withdrew
Mhm.
to pray, and I believe it's important that we revitalize ourselves and rejuvenate ourselves in Christ and get that time away. But the fact is what's the mindset that we're operating from? Is it what I have to do, or is it what does the Lord expect of me, and what should I do for the Lord? Because it, it's hard to say this, but I'm just being honest. I think as pastors, a lot of us have. I know there's a lot of weary pastors, um, and rightfully so, because it's not an easy work. But I also think that there are times where we can get lax. Like they joke at my church about my attitude towards sermons. I don't keep my sermons. As soon as I get done preaching a message, if I don't forget and leave it on the podium, I walk into my office, or when I get home, I crumple it up, throw it away. And I've had many pastors tell me to quit doing that.
Mm.
I've had other people say, "Why would you do that?" Because I don't want to get lazy. I don't want to get complacent to the fact that I've got some file I can go back to, yank one out on Sunday, and fall into that trap of, okay, I didn't put it in the time with the Lord myself this Sunday or this week, so here's what you get. It's got to be that consistent. And to me, the disciple making, it does start with the top. And are we investing in the people the way we need to invest in them? That they can be disciples. Because most people, I mean, to be honest with you, Coach, most people don't even know what disciples are.
That's a sad commentary, but I wanted to end up, to try to bring this together
Mm-hmm.
in terms of the Great Commission. We need to understand a point you were making earlier, but I want to really, really focus on it. There's a difference between a process and a product. When in setting goals, I don't set a goal to lose weight. I set a goal to run 2 miles five
Mm-hmm.
times a week. I don't set a goal to, establish this much annual income. No, I set a goal to move forward every day. In other words, trust the activity, trust the process. I say that material success in the world's eyes, money, income, these things should be not a goal, but should be a parenthetical side effect of doing a worthwhile job and doing it very well. And I think churches have similarly pursued focusing on growing attendance, focusing on growing the budget, focusing on expanding buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, those are all good things, but I think we got it backwards. Those should not be the goal. The goal has been prescribed: make disciples. If you
Yeah.
make disciples, guess what will automatically happen? Well,
Yeah,
attendance
we've
will
got,
come.
and that's where that cultural Christianity mindset is damaging because we can't start from the basis that the world starts from.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how it works, and so we have to take what we've got, glorify God with it, and then He'll increase it. I mean, He tells us that throughout His Word. One of my favorites comes out of the book of Galatians. Do not weary in doing good, for in due time you will reap. And that's the whole thing, is that we are called to sow the seeds, plant the seeds, get out there and do what God has called us to do. And the results will come on God's timetable, not not on ours. But we need to chase after the Lord and chase after, taking the gospel out before we worry about propping ourselves up, because that's the danger. That's where it gets so inward focused. I mean, I heard somebody years ago, and we've been careful with it here. Um, I heard somebody many years ago, somebody I really respected, and he said if a church's budget goes primarily to its staff, then the church is in trouble.
Mm.
And so we have a goal here that never does the staff take in, even half of the annual budget. Why? Because we need that money to be going and ministering and doing mission work and going out. I mean, because we obviously got to pay the heat and all that stuff. But if it's all about, if the staff is taking all of it, then guess what? Where, how are you going to reach out? Because it does take money to reach out. I mean, it just does. So
I know.
one of the things is is saying, okay, where you can look at a budget and tell where any organization's emphasis is.
Mm.
And all you got to do is take a 2-minute look at a budget, because whatever you put your money to, that's what you're going after. And for us, it was okay. You know, I took a pay cut from the beginning when they first brought me in, and told them, I said, you know, let's see what we can do. Let's see how far we can take this thing, and what God will do, because God will bless it and God will take care of us, and He has taken care of my family in an amazing way. Um, and but you have to start it with Him, and not with what you've got. You know, not with saying, well, we need this, we need that. Say, we've got this, now what can we do with this? Instead of saying we need that thing or that next thing. Because then you're limiting God. God can't move unless we get a new building. Nope, God can move well before you get that building.
God doesn't need our buildings.
No, no,
He doesn't even.
no.
I got one from the chat room from Ben Cooper, and we're out of time.
Yeah.
Let me end on this. There's a quote here from Ben. A church without a missionary focus is a church out of focus.
Oh, I agree.
I think that sums up what we've been talking about. Ben, thank you for
Ben's a
sharing.
wise man. Very wise man.
He's smart. He thinks
He
right.
is. He's a very wise man.
He thinks like I do. That makes sense. Well, Andy, thank you for sharing your time with us again. And
Yeah,
thank
thank
you
you
to
guys.
you and Mount Zion Baptist Church for not just welcoming the PJNet Christian Expo, but starting a brush fire that is being duplicated in multiple states over time. And we just, Andy, I just thank God that He's intersected our paths, and you've been such an encouragement and such a help. And we appreciate you so much, brother.
Have a good week, guys.
All right. Andy Clapp from Mount Zion Baptist Church in or near Liberty, North Carolina. All right. Well, boy, it's great. We got stuff going on, folks. In just a moment, Casper will join us, and I've got to dismount this whole studio and start up a new one. While I'm doing that, here's something you can do. Ask yourself 2 questions. Ready? What is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? Second question. When was that? The challenge is to never be satisfied with either answer.